Hello everyone and welcome to Monday. As you may know, over the past few days we have been in Seattle for PAX Prime 2015. And every time we get back from a PAX event, we do what we like to call PAX Prime Reflections.
Normally just reflections.
Reflections on PAX Prime 2015. Or PAX Prime 2015 Reflections. I don't remember. But that's what this video is going to be. We're going to kind of reminisce over the weekend and what we thought, what we did, and talk about just kind of the trip as a whole. So why don't we start with going way back to whenever the trip was being planned. Because the big thing this year, first time this has ever happened, is we couldn't get passes. We could not get all the passes we needed. We weren't sure how many we were going to have go, but the plan has always been, they allow you to buy 4 passes each, and it's always been buy 4 Friday, buy 4 Saturday, and then Alex, who is usually available, and I can scream at as soon as they go on sale, will also buy 4 Friday and 4 Saturday. The problem is, this year, I bought my 4 Friday and 4 Saturday. Alex was in line just a split second behind me, but Saturday were sold out by the time he got there. So he had 4 Friday. So we ran into a really interesting problem right off the bat that we just didn't have passes. And I was like, crap, how are we going to do this? I didn't know if we were going to have to buy some, either online, or if we would have to get them at the door or anything like that. So that was a concern because we didn't have passes. The other thing is that historically we have not bought, we haven't got our hotel through PAX. But we had been watching the hotels up to that point, and they were bizarrely expensive. They were crazy. So I just kept holding out that once the PAX tickets went on sale, we could get a hotel for cheaper, and we could. It was not a ton cheaper, but it was enough to make you go, yes, that is cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So we booked our hotel that way. Now, the other issue is that normally we have 8 people go to PAX. About. That's the goal. That's what we shoot for because we have 8 passes, or 2 passes of each for 8. You guys know what I mean. And 8 hotel slots because we get 2 rooms with 2 beds each. So we tried to get 8 people because it lowers the cost. And we were having a hard time hitting that number. And I think from the get-go we had 7. And because there was a few people that said they weren't going to be able to go or whatever. And then a few people started dropping out near the end, and suddenly we had 5. And we had kind of made all of our monetary plans with each other for having 6. And going from 6 to 5 was going to change the price pretty drastically for everyone at the last minute, so we needed to get a 6th person. And we ultimately ended up asking Emmy, because we really needed to find someone who would be able to go with last minute notice because anyone else would not have been able to afford a flight. I mean, it's like
2 weeks
two
before.
weeks before, and no one can buy a flight 2 weeks before because they're like $1 million. So we needed to find someone who was relatively in the area and who would be interested in going. And we were like, we should ask Emmy. And of course she went, and it was a great idea because she was awesome, and everyone really enjoyed her company, and she really enjoyed everyone else's company, so having her there was a good idea. And then as far as us getting the passes, that's what spurred us to even try to get media passes. Which sounds bizarre, because we could have always applied to get media badges. We've been spending money, our personal money, on PAX badges for years, and we'd been asked a few other times by people like, why don't you, get a media badge? It'd be easy. And my reasoning, this is legit, my reasoning has always been the fact that you don't apply to get media badges until like right before the event.
Yeah.
So my thinking was that, if you want to be guaranteed a badge, because you're not guaranteed you'll get your media badge. If you want to be guaranteed a badge, you have to buy it. So we would buy them, and then at that point I'm like, well, why would I apply for a media badge? At this point I don't need it. So this was the first year where we had to do that, and it was very easy. It was a very easy process. They used to not have guidelines, but now they do. Basically, if you have 50,000 subscribers, you can apply. So I applied for myself. I applied for myself on behalf of Mao, or Mao on behalf of myself, however it works. I said basically Mao was one of my employees, more or less, which you are.
Yeah.
And we both got media badges. And we found out like a week before PAX or
Yeah.
10 days before PAX or something like that. So they really don't give you much time. So if you want to make sure you have a ticket, you kind of have to buy it and then resell it. But that's what we wound up doing. But that's the reason we even got media badges in the first place. That being said, in the future, I will probably apply for media badges because it was very easy to get, and it is, a 4-day pass for free. And that's pretty cool. One of the things about getting a media badge that I did not know ahead of time, and Mao and I quickly found out since we were both registered as media, was that you get a ton of emails. Like, how many emails do you think we've
I
gotten?
have no idea.
Probably several hundred, easy?
Yeah.
Probably like 300 or 400.
200.
I think we're probably pushing like 300 or 400 at this point because they're still coming. You apparently get on some sort of mailing list, and every developer who is at PAX or ever been at PAX is like messaging you, and sometimes they're giving you Steam keys. Sometimes they're just talking about how they want you to come to the booth and talk to them. They're asking if you want to set up an appointment or an interview or whatever. And it's interesting because Mal and I approached it very differently because I get this kind of information all the time. I don't know what kind of mailing list I'm on otherwise, but I get messages from game developers, indie devs, like several times a week to my email normally. So this was just more of the same. Mal doesn't get that, so she thought it was super cool, at least at the beginning.
Yeah.
You were
And then it started to reach like the 30 email mark, and I'm like, okay, it's too many.
Yeah, because Mal was sitting over there, and she's like, "Someone gave me a Steam key," and I'm like, "So?" There's so many people, so many indie devs that they send emails out and they send Steam keys or whatever, and we tried to cover some of that stuff like in first 20, but there's so much stuff sent our way we can't possibly do it all. So there's a lot of just unplayed Steam keys like in my email. Eventually. Sometimes I'll go back and look through them. I might activate them and try them or something like that. But Mal had never experienced that before.
Given one.
So it was a big deal for her. She was like, "Wow, someone sent me a game." So someone else sent me a game. And then after a while, it was like, "I'm getting a lot of these emails, and I can't even see the normal stuff in my email." So yeah, and actually, I talked to Josh while we were at PAX, and he said that he gets media stuff. Even for PAX events that he's not going to. Like, he's never been to PAX South, but he gets all of these emails when PAX South is about to happen. Like, come to our booth! And, he's not even registered as media for PAX South, and he still gets all these emails, and I'm like, oh my god, we might be on a mailing list just forever. It's still helpful, but I'm not someone who covers, a lot of game stuff at PAX. I kind of just go and do my own thing. If there's something I truly want to see, I'll go see it, I'll film it, but I'm not a company with multiple employees making appointments. That said, this was also the first PAX where we ever made an appointment, and it was not through the PAX Media thing, it was just through Ubisoft. Ubisoft contacted us beforehand and said, we're going to be at PAX, we'd like you to try out these games, and we can set up a VIP thing where you don't have to wait in line, you just come and play the game. So that's how we got to play The Division,
Rainbow Six,
and
For Honor.
For Honor. And they were fun. They're fun, and honestly, that's the only games we played at PAX, I believe.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I had talked about this before, the Media Badge grants you access to a 1-hour window at the very beginning of PAX, Friday at 9 a.m., from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., where only media get in. Media and exhibition, not exhibition. Exhibitionists, no, exhibitors, special guests, anyone that has a not normal badge gets in for the first hour. That was a really cool experience, and that would have been the time to play games, and instead I was more impressed just by walking around and seeing it look like a ghost town. But it was fun. But a lot of people were still kind of setting up, even though they had things to play, and it was a really interesting experience, but I didn't play anything. In fact, we spent less time on the show floor this year than any other time, by a large margin. And I'm not surprised by that, but it was a lot less than even I was thinking it would be. Besides that first hour, the only time I remember actually being on the floor, so there was the first hour, and then at 10 a.m., you guys came.
Yeah.
Or actually, no. At 10 a.m., I went back and I left and got you guys. And then we didn't get back until 11:30, which was 11, which was right in time for our appointment from like 11 to 12 or something. And then after that, I think we went over to Fangamer.
Yeah.
And then it was it.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. So I was there for the first hour when no one was there. Then we were there for like an hour just to play games, which, I mean, we're not like looking around. We were just playing the games. And then we were in the expo hall for another like 30 minutes. It was by far the least amount that we've ever spent in the expo hall. But you have to understand, because I know that some people, especially if like maybe they've never gone to PAX, will be watching this and say, that's crazy, you're wasting your time. You go there and you have this ticket, you should go play games and do this. You have to understand, PAX is a lot of the same stuff. It's a lot of the same thing over and over. It's the same vendors that come every year, and I know the games change, but even the games, a lot of the games are just things I'm not interested in playing. Not to mention, a lot of the games were things that were already at E3. Star Fox Zero was at PAX, but I had already played it at E3. I don't think Yoshi's Woolly World was there.
Yeah,
Maybe
it was. I played it.
Oh, it was there?
Oh, I didn't know if it was at PAX.
That's what I was talking about.
It was at E3.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was at PAX or not. It may have been. I didn't see it, but... so these are things that like we had already played, and there's a lot of other games, but the stuff I was really passionate about, the stuff I really wanted to see, which was like Fallout 4 and Uncharted 4, same stuff with E3, was not at PAX. So I'm just like, you know, not super interested in hanging around and seeing everything. But I did walk the show floor from 9 to 10 a.m. and I did see roughly everything that was there. But honestly, I go to PAX mostly to hang out with friends. It was super cool to do the appointment thing, and I think if I go back to PAX in the future, I will do more of that kind of thing, because it was neat to get, you know, to not have to wait in line and to just be able to walk up and play a game, and especially to have like developers right there to be able to talk to you about the game and be like, let me explain this to you, let me tell you how to do this, etc. That was neat, and I think I would do that again in the future, but PAX as a whole, the actual PAX part of PAX is not of interest to me. Except Pathfinder. Pathfinder's really fun.
Yeah.
Did they do that at East, or do you know?
I didn't think they did this last year.
At you mean earlier this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who goes to PAX Prime in the future, or even if you don't go to PAX Prime, because this is awesome, the Pathfinder Society goes to PAX, and they rent out these rooms where, and I'm sure you guys probably saw some of the vlogs, where you can request a table and you play the game, and you can even win prizes. The amazing thing is that you don't have to have a PAX badge for that. It is public. It is open to the public. Like, you could essentially, if you just want to play Pathfinder for a day, which is a completely reasonable thing to do, you could drive down to where the convention center is, park, and then go in there and just play all day, and it's completely free. It's amazing, and you don't even need a PAX badge to do that. So there was a few other people, not in our group, but people that were hanging out with us that were like, oh man, I don't have a Sunday pass, or I don't have a Monday pass, but I'm going to be here. And I'm like, play Pathfinder, you know, because you don't need a badge for it, which is, you know, really, really cool. So that's actually more or less what we spent our entire Saturday doing, and I have no regrets.
Yeah, it was fun.
We got to play with the same GM that we had first learned about tabletop RPGs, had learned about Pathfinder from, Andy, who's a super cool guy, really great GM. And it was good for me because as someone who's getting ready to run a game, I really wanted more experience. And we got to play a few games with him and another game with some other guy, Dustin. So being able to have that experience and have that, you know, sit at the table and see what they do and how they react to certain things, even though Pathfinder and D&D are a little different, that was helpful, and I have no regrets about spending that time. But for all 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it was great hanging out with people. We went to the Space Needle, which was awesome.
Had good food.
We did have good food. Hanging out with Lindsay was really fun. Hanging out with Emmy was a blast. We got to spend a little more time with Jordan and Chelsea, which was really nice, because anytime we've interacted with them, I think it's always kind of been with Josh and Brooke. Not that there's anything wrong with Josh and Brooke, and I love both of them. But this was, I guess, kind of giving us, I don't know, a different experience, because we just got to hang out with them, and they're both super awesome people. And then John and Megan also hung out with us quite a bit. And they're super cool, and it was nice to see them again. So it was just like it was a lot of awesome people. And it was hard to manage because we had so many people.
Yeah.
We normally had like 14 people in our group because Steph and Steve even joined us. And that was difficult, but it was a lot of fun. Even when we had to break up into smaller groups and do stuff, which you have to do because 14 is too many. I felt like I got time to talk to everyone a lot, hang out with everyone a lot, and I had a lot of fun. And it's the best PAX in recent memory. I missed some people. I really missed Dan. I really missed Taylor. I would have loved to have seen Thomas again because it's been a while since I've seen Thomas in that setting.
He lives here.
I'm not naming Chaz and Jeff just because we just saw them in Indiana, but I would have loved for them to have been there too. So like we were missing people. Didn't miss Alex and Haley, who we've seen like twice a month, every month for the last few months. But it was also fun to hang out with them. It was just all around a great PAX. It was a really, really great PAX. And the reason I go to PAX every year is to see my friends and to see you guys. And I got to do both of those things. It was a great meetup. I was a little concerned right before the meetup because people were tweeting me and saying, you know, there's a music festival going on in the park.
There's also a windstorm. Yeah,
there was like 60-mile-per-hour winds. Did you know 2 people died in the city because trees like fell on them or something, which is bizarre, but the wind was that bad. It was like 60 miles an hour. But we were able to hold the meetup, and everyone had a good time, and we got to meet people. I'd say there was probably about like 80 people there in total, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, and that's why we go to PAX. You have fun?
Yes, I did.
Now that we've talked about that, I do have a bit of bad news. I don't think we'll be going to PAX East. It's not 100% official, but it seems unlikely that we're going to be able to go. It's not going to work this year with some of the other stuff we're doing and also Mouse schedule. That's not the worst thing in the world because PAX is increasingly expensive, especially for figuring out hotel. Not everyone can go because it's draining on people's savings. Even if you get a free pass like Mal and I managed to do, you still have to fly across the country,
get a
hotel, eat. It's a very expensive trip, and it's expensive even for us. So it's one of those things like I don't want to officially be like we're going to tone down going to PAX because it's not that entirely, but also it is that partially. And it's very unlikely that we're going to be going to East. And I know that that's going to make some of you very upset, and I apologize. But I figured I would just let you know now, instead of it getting closer and being like, sorry, we're not going to East. Is there a chance that I could still go? Probably. But if I went, I would probably be going by myself. And it would not be a group thing. My friends would not be with me. It might be like me and Josh. But right now, it's not looking like that's going to happen. So, sorry to end on a low note. I just thought I would be upfront with you guys and be honest. As far as PAX Prime next year, I do not know. Everything is a little too early to tell. It's even too early to tell 100% for sure for East, but there's a lot of stuff going on next year that we're already starting to plan, which is crazy because it's September of 2015. We're planning things in April 2016 and summer 2016, but it's happening. So we're trying to be realistic and not plan too much stuff. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And before we go, quick thing. Favorite thing at PAX?
Pathfinder.
Really?
Yeah.
Just off the bat?
Yeah.
Favorite non-PAX thing that isn't my friends? Because that's the cop-out answer.
I enjoyed Seattle. I mean, like the Space Needle. We never did that. It was fun.
Yeah, the Space Needle was nice. It was a little... The reason I had never gone up in it before is because I always thought it was a little pricey.
Oh, it is.
And it is a little pricey. It's like $20 a person.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful, and it's one of those things that I feel like you should do once type of thing. And now I've done it, I won't do it again. But it was pretty.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it was really nice going up at sunset.
Yeah, it was.
So, anyway. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and let's meet back tomorrow, shall we? Can you believe that the camera died and I only needed it to be alive for just like one more second? It's ridiculous. Hello?
Then the revolution will begin without you. Ucciderlo!
Ucciderlo. Say that you love me. Ucci, Ucci. Say that you'll dare low. Oh, come on. Someone hit me.